If you watched our previous video about Gravity Falls, then you know it's my favorite animated series. Yes, it has not been dethroned from that glory since it ended approximately 4 years ago, even though I have watched quite a few good animated series since then, such as Hilda or Rick and Morty. And though it holds a special place in my heart, and though I'm an obsessive fan, every now and then I come across things I didn't notice even on the 4th time I watched the series, like the fact that the story of the time baby and how it ends the world has been shown in the background many times, and Johnny had realized half of the references to the past, present and future of this giant baby who was in hibernation in an Arctic glacier during the events of the main series. The special thing about Gravity Falls is that, despite being quite mysterious, many of the mysteries it presents often end up being solved. I suppose it is for this reason that I believe that the series had explained to us what Fiddleford had seen in the portal, which left him all concerned and reciting prophecies right and left. But after reviewing thoroughly, we don't know what happened. Or well, we do know, but only partially. I think we should start by remembering everything that happened to get to today's mystery. By the way, massive spoiler alert if you haven't watched Gravity Falls, I don't know what the hell you're doing here. Go, watch the series, and after giving yourself a week to process that masterpiece, continue with the video because I don't feel capable of ruining Gravity Falls for someone. Now that we are warned, everything starts several years before the main events of the series, which we see in the most important episode of Gravity Falls, A Tale of Two Stans, and I remind you, massive spoilers. This episode tells the life story of Stan Lee and Stanford Pines, the two great uncles of Dipper and Mabel around whom the series revolves. As children, they lived in Glass Short Beach, New Jersey, and loved to explore the town's beach. They went everywhere together, and Stanley protected Stanford from the bullies who bothered them because Stanford was born with 6 fingers. They grew up as very different individuals. Stanley was a troublemaker who barely managed to graduate, while Stanford was a stellar student who won the vast majority of science competitions at his school. One day, one of the machines created by Stanford won him an opportunity to be accepted into his dream university, causing Stanley to fear losing his brother. Frustrated, Stanley went to see the machine and in an accident ended up damaging it, destroying his brother's dreams, as that's why he wasn't accepted to college. As a result, his father kicked him out of the house and Stanley ended up as a door-to-door salesman, and over time it was revealed that his products were scams, so he ended up using fake identities to travel, as he was blacklisted in many states and countries and even ended up in prison in 3 different countries. Meanwhile, Stanford was accepted into another university and graduated with honors, obtaining a grant for his scientific projects. With that money, he decided to study anomalies, and after some research, he concluded that the town known as Gravity Falls was the place with the most anomalies on planet Earth. There, he built his house with the help of the locals and documented all his research in 3 journals. His inquiries led to the conclusion that anomalies came from another dimension, so he built an interdimensional portal to access it. To do this, he got help from a friend from college, Fiddleford McGucket, whose genius in technology helped them complete the portal. When they decided to test it using a test dummy, McGucket was almost absorbed, but Stanford managed to pull him out. Upon exiting the portal, McGucket began to act strangely, speaking in reverse code and giving a strange warning that when gravity falls and the earth becomes the sky, fear the beast with a single eye. After recovering, McGucket tells Stanford that the portal was too dangerous and they should shut down the project. But Stanford didn't want to end it because it was his life's work, and McGucket decides to abandon the project and forget what happened. McGucket never reveals what he witnessed, but we know it was an incredibly traumatic experience judging by his reaction and especially by everything that occurred afterwards. After leaving the project, Fiddleford found himself deeply affected by his encounters with the supernatural, consumed by insomnia and paranoia. Using the memory gun, a weapon he created himself that allowed him to erase his most traumatic experiences, made life more bearable, but its use gradually drove him insane. Fiddleford founded an organization known as the Blind Eye Society, with the goal of using the memory erasing gun on the residents of Gravity Falls to relieve them of their horrible memories and worst experiences. However, Fiddleford's frequent interactions with the supernatural and his excessive dependence on the memory gun ultimately drove him to madness. By July 1983, approximately a year and a half after seeing what was on the other side of the portal, Fiddleford was a ghost of his former self, now known as Old McGucket, a lunatic man living among the trash. This brings us to a very curious situation in the episode of the Blind Eye Society, where we see in McGucket's memories that after completing his transformation, he still speaks in code and makes references to Bill. This signifies that after all that he experienced and all the recollections he misplaced, nevertheless deep down, in one way or another, the memory of the portal was still present. Now it is clear that whatever he saw is directly related to Bill, because upon returning he warns about the one-eyed beast and several times mentions Bill's cipher or the Triangle Man when speaking in code. This is further supported when we see Stanford's side of the story, as if we remember, Stanford was being helped by Bill to create the portal. Stanford thought that Bill was a muse, a giver of knowledge, and openly trusted him, even allowing him to use his body occasionally. Fiddleford always distrusted, but once he directly warned Stanford about the one-eyed beast, Stanford also began to suspect and ended up discovering that Bill intended to unite our dimension with the realm of nightmares, a kind of unstable foam between dimensions that kept Bill trapped. Here, McGucket's words were confirmed, but it was already too late for him. So after all, what did he see on the other side of the portal? Well, in the series, we are never provided with that information. But Gravity Falls is not just a series, it has a small expanded universe whose most important piece is Journal 3, and not the Journal 3 from the show, obviously. A few years ago, Disney decided to release a physical version of Journal 3, which gives us a much more complete perspective of the events that occurred before Stanford's disappearance, including the incident, and provides an explanation from Bill of what McGucket saw. It turns out that during the times when Bill took control of Stanford's body, he found it amusing to write in code in the journals, and it's in one of those coded messages where he talks about Fiddleford, but he doesn't really give us the complete answer. The message had a glimpse of my dimension, and this jerk completely lost his weak little mind, and all he witnessed was me discarding my exoskeleton to nourish myself. If you are unable to tolerate the pressure, kindly leave the kitchen, I request. That is what occurred. Fiddleford witnessed Bill discarding his exoskeleton, but this does not provide an explanation for anything. We still don't know why he started making prophecies and why he spoke in code and all that. Well, I think within that sentence lies our answer. The final answer, but we need to have a slightly broader focus. Yes, Fiddleford saw something horrible, but it wasn't something natural. It wasn't something his brain could comprehend. Bill is a dream demon from an extra-dimensional realm. This implies that his exoskeleton enables him to exist in entirely different dimensions, granting him the ability to freely manipulate his form. Or at the very least, what lies beneath the exoskeleton is far from normal. By removing it, it unveils its true nature. The complexity is beyond the grasp of a single human brain. In my personal theory, I believe that Bill, who is a dream demon, does not consume regular food like humans do. We do not know how he does it, but from all we know about him, he surely has something to do with the mind. And this brings me to the final part of my theory. I don't actually believe that Fiddleford would have interrupted Bill's lunch or anything like that. I believe Bill discovered that Fiddleford's mind was extremely appetizing when he witnessed him crossing the interdimensional barrier. Fiddleford not only witnessed Bill shedding his exoskeleton, but he also witnessed him doing it to feed using his mind. And I also believe that Bill managed to establish contact with Fiddleford, and that is why he ended up the way he did with a completely destroyed mind. So I hope you enjoyed this strange theory. It took me some effort to complete it because I have been extremely busy with my personal life, but I think it turned out quite well. With nothing more to say, give it a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more videos like this, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.